Hello. I just wanted to make this video on top of the initial assignment, just because I find it easier to just speak kind of what's on my mind. Sometimes I can't really convey what I actually feel or my true thoughts through text. So I thought I would just kind of make this as a supplemental, kind of complementary addition to that project. So the sake of this kind of video is to kind of talk about what I was feeling leading up to the trip and what I did while I was on the trip, kind of go on like a day by day basis of what was going on, and yeah, just overall reflect on everything that happened. So to kind of go and build things up before the trip. So obviously, I live in a small studio apartment off campus by myself, and so you know, I have a lot of anxiety, social anxiety. I don't really have a lot of like stable, consistent, close friendships in college. I have my family and they're my big support system. So, I was really nervous to go on this trip just because I wasn't used to being out of Oklahoma and flying, let alone, last time I flew was 2009 at Disney World. And so this was the first time that I would be flying without my family and didn't really know what the process was going to be like. I had to do everything, check in, go through security, all of that, kind of figure things out. And, because of the fact that I live alone, I was kind of expecting to do a lot of things by myself on this trip. That's kind of what I was expecting to be doing. And because I have anxiety, I tend to overthink everything and sort of think the worst possible outcomes and expect the worst outcomes in a situation. So I was just really worried, given that this trip, I knew we were going to be there for 3 full days. I was just really worried that I was going to feel stuck there and super stressed out, uncomfortable the whole time. And I was under the impression that everybody was, you know, they kind of knew what they were going to do while they were down there. They had a plan um, and everything like that. And everybody kind of knew each other. And I knew Eden and Eben a little bit, but I didn't really know a whole lot of other people. Gavin, Boots, and I had advanced crime scene together last semester, but I didn't talk to him. I didn't really know him. I knew I was going to room with him, and he seemed really cool, but I was kind of worried that we wouldn't really have a lot in common. So I was just worried that I was going to be left out since everybody else knew each other. Um, so that yeah, these were kind of my big concerns going into this trip. I was really worried that I just wasn't going to enjoy it, even though it was such a big opportunity, and I was super happy and grateful that I was given this opportunity. I know it's a big deal, and again, super excited to go. It's this opportunity is extremely rare, so I was very happy about that. Um, but yeah, kind of leading up to the day that I get to Will Rogers Airport, my mom drives me there. She drops me off. We hug each other. She says goodbye. And then I go to check in. I meet Keisha at security. And then we go to sit down. And, some of them start talking to me immediately. And, I was just telling them, like, yeah, I'm not really used to flying alone or any of that. And, one of the first things that they said was, well, you're not going to be alone. You're going to be with us, And so that kind of they made me feel safe and comfortable right from the jump, you know. Um, and so I kind of knew that I was in good hands from that point on. Um, and so yeah, we get on our flight, we get to Houston, we have lunch together, we have a nice conversation about stuff, and then we get on the flight to Orlando, and then we get to the hotel at like 8 o'clock maybe. Around that, we got there pretty late, and then we go check in. Gavin and I ended up having a lot more in common than I thought we were going to have. We would have nights when, he would have to say, we got to go to bed. Like, we're never going to get sleep. We would stay up till like 1 or 2 in the morning sometimes. And, he was such a great guy and really easy to talk to. So, yeah, we had a lot in common, and I was really happy about that. But that morning, we go to the keynote address, and Scott, I really liked Scott. He was such an energetic person. and really enthusiastic. I actually might get his book that's coming out in November, but he talked about some things that really resonated with me. He talked about reliability and how forensic scientists and really just people in law enforcement, criminal justice, things like that are held up to such a high standard. They're held up on a pedestal, and they could be doing great for many years, but all it would take is one mistake that could make that all crumble in a second. And that's kind of a concept that made me question, and still do. It still does make me question if I really would be a good person going into this field, because I want to do a good job, and I am terrified of failure, and I tend to get nervous under pressure, and I don't know, just makes me worry that I'm not going to be good enough to do a good job. Um, and so just him talking about these things kind of resonated with me, and the fact that he mentioned how if human error happens, that it's not solely on the person. There's kind of a whole system put in place. If somebody did their job wrong, then something in the system is wrong. Um, and so that he talks about good reliability methods, and obviously can't remember things word for word. That's why I think I kind of should get his book. It's actually pretty interesting. But I really liked him. The keynote address was very educational, and I should mention before the keynote, Gavin and I, we got breakfast, and then Kaylin and Taryn and the rest of DDE came down, and we had breakfast together, so that was really nice. But yeah, after the keynote, we kind of took a break. We were waiting on everybody, and we decided to go to Universal Studios, and that was so much fun. I've always wanted to go. I wasn't expecting to go, to be honest, but I was so glad I did. It was so much fun. We were there a long time too. We were there for like 8 hours. It was crazy because it was Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday. That was, if we were gonna have fun at all, it was gonna be that day, since none of the meetings at the conference were that day. So that's when we decided to go. So that we were there for a while. We were there for like 8 hours, um, which is a long time. I mean, I'll admit it was a long time, but it was so much fun just getting around, going around, just seeing all the shops, and just the parks was really cool. My brothers were super upset that I went without them, but I'd like to go with them someday. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then we get to Thursday, and that's when everything starts with the conference and whatnot. Um, and you know, there were a couple things that I went to. Obviously, there was the first meeting I went to had to do with graphology, which is something that is talked about in FSA. And the whole idea of this talk was graphology can, in fact, determine a person's like mood or personality in the moment that they wrote something, which is obviously something that we're told doesn't work in the FSI program. And so I was very skeptical, to be honest, about the talk. Obviously, it was kind of nice to play devil's advocate and just see the other side of things. And obviously, these are people who are professionals that do a bunch of research. So, I was skeptical, but interested, and, this is why research is what it is. I would like to see if graphology does that. And, he gave facts to back himself up. So that was interesting. And then after that, we had the Aurora, Colorado massacre that was talked about, and they were kind of talking about the perpetrator's emotional state, kind of before and after the event. And that was really interesting. I heard about the Aurora case before. I knew that it was like the Dark Knight Rises massacre killing. That's kind of all I knew about it, but I didn't realize it was in Colorado. So that was interesting to learn about. I was really happy to go to that. And there was a lot of people that attended that one. That was like, people had to stand for that. All the seats were filled. It was definitely one of the more interesting ones that I went to. Another one that I went to, I think it was on Friday, that I really liked was, it had to do with crime scene response and kind of the logistics of who you should send depending on like the type of crime, and stuff like that. And he let us take photographs of his data to kind of use for future reference. So I really liked going to that one because I want to be a crime scene investigator. That's kind of what I want to start as, and you know, see how far I can go with that. So that was really cool to kind of witness and listen to. So, yeah, all in all, I went to quite a few things at the conference. I wanted to have that balance of obviously making the most out of the conference and still having fun with DDE. So, and obviously we went to the exhibit hall and I got to talk to people at Blue Star. There were people from Australia that came down here, which was crazy to me. Like, I didn't think that people from around the world were going to be there. I thought it was just tied down to here. But no, it was really crazy. It really shows how big this is. You had people from Italy come down. It was really cool. It really showed how big this event really was. And I was talking to someone who was like twice my age, and he said like this was the first conference he was in, and he could never get in, and so it just kind of made me feel even more grateful to be there. Given my age and everything, I'm only 21, gonna be 22 next month, so it really just it made me just feel a lot of gratitude um, towards the FSI and just everybody there to give me this opportunity at such a young age, especially being an undergrad. Not a lot of people get this opportunity, so it was just kind of surreal hearing stuff like that. But yeah, all in all, it was really fun. And I think it was on Thursday, maybe it was Friday. We went to an ice bar. We went to the ice bar that I think Kate mentioned in the meeting. We just wanted to check it out, so we went there when it opened at 5, and it was so much fun. Like, that was the first bar I ever went to, and I'm glad I could say that it was my first bar because it was so special. It was so cool. Um, just what a unique experience, But we had a good time there. Obviously, we drank responsibly. I want to elaborate on that. We were very responsible, um, and yeah, just going with everybody. This was such a good group of people. We were all so well behaved, so responsible. I'm so glad Dr. Adams was able to go. Um, I just don't think this trip could have gone any better. I really don't. And I don't want to get too emotional or make this sound sad, but it's been a long time since I've actually really been happy, like felt truly happy with where I am in my life. I'm so happy like to be here in this program and pursue what I'm pursuing. I really enjoy it, but there's a key piece that I'm missing from my life, and it's just having these consistent, decent friendships and just being able to meet Taryn, Gavin, Sierra, um, and Kaylin was such a great opportunity. And they're great people. And I can't remember if I mentioned this already, but I was the youngest of the group that I went with and one of two undergrads. So it was just so nice getting that change of atmosphere because a lot of my friends at UCO are younger than me. So just having that change in energy and personality was just really refreshing. It's something I needed. And because they were grads, they were giving me, Kaylin was super supportive, giving me all this advice of who I should be taking, the classes I should take in the future, who to get letters of recommendation from, just all of these great tips that I never asked for. Like, just she was super supportive and super grateful to help me out and give me advice. Um, just super nice and sweet. All of them were, seriously. And Taryn, she has a extended family game night, so I'm in their group chat now. They have game night every month. So, I learned a lot from this trip, not only at the conference, but just about myself in general. I learned that I can get out of my comfort zone and still have a really good time, and I got to talk to a lot of people and have decent conversations. I mean, we went to the pool a few times. We got to meet some really cool people there. So, yeah, this trip was it's something I needed in my life. I needed to go out and live life a little bit, and I think that going to this conference really helped me with that. And, it was for a really good cause. So I really just can't express my my gratefulness enough. I'll say it 20 times over and mean it every single time. Incredibly grateful that I was given this opportunity to go, and I know next year is going to be in Denver. Fingers crossed, maybe I can go next year. But regardless, the fact that I could say that I went and got this experience is something that will always put a smile on my face. I'll always remember the time I had there and the people that I met, and hopefully I can continue building my friendships with the people that I met there. And yeah, just a really, really, really enriching experience. And I can't be more happy that I was able to go. So I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to. I wanted to just mainly go over stuff like that. Um, and yeah, obviously the flights going back were pretty seamless. Um, Easier than I think going to Orlando, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, overall, really great experience, and so I'm really happy. Thanks.